So for step 31, attaching the steering servo. Well, this is where we need to attach the servo to the car and then attach this piece here. Now, because I've got the Yeah Racing aluminum steering linkage, this is going to change because technically that bridge piece right there is already a part of the whole bridge system. So I just have the one screw to screw in to the servo arm, which you can see we installed in the last step. So I'll set this up and we'll put that in, and you can see that they also want you to attach the receiver on-off switch right here. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now I've also see that there is the receiver box. I'm not going to do this time. I'm not going to use it. I mean, this is going to be on road and I doubt I'm going to use this in the rain. So we've got an aerial piece to put in. I'm not using the box, and we've got a receiver switch to put in as well. So let's get this all set up and I'll attach the steering servo. So let's put the servo in first. And as you can see, in terms of how this is going to go, this servo needs to sit down here just like that. So it means that the two screws are going to come up through those holes and into the brackets. So let's grab one of the screws and I'm going to put it in there. I just want to make sure that this is going to sit properly onto the right spot. Yes. So I'm just going to screw this in. I just want to make sure that it goes into the bracket properly, which I think it has. So same thing on the other side. We're going to make sure that that hole lines up, and we're going to make sure that goes into there. There we go. Okay, that feels like it's sitting properly. So let's screw these in. There we go. So you see that the flathead screws are flat to the surface, or level with the bottom of the chassis, and then this is now nicely in place. So that feels pretty good. It's nice and tight, and you can see that originally the bracket was actually attached to this because of the step that we did in step 30, but because this is the Yeah Racing, it's a different setup. So what we have to do is we've got to use an Allen key. So I'm going to undo the screw that I put in temporarily so that it was attached and I wasn't going to lose it. And we'll flip that back and stick this screw that came with the Yeah Racing kit into here. And we'll use our Allen key. Oh, wrong one. Or Allen key screwdriver. And we'll screw this in place. And there we go. So there is our steering servo nicely attached to our aluminum arm right there, and everything feels pretty solid. Now these haven't been popped on yet either, but that comes later. So very, very cool. So there's the servo in place. So now what we want to do is let's get the receiver in place. So now what I want to do is get the aerial piece in place. And you can see that this too is going down here, and it fits just like that, supposedly. Now what it's also showing you is that you want to make sure that you don't pinch the aerial, just the way this is going to go through. So that obviously is going to go into there, and then it's going to end up bending back, but because of that notch right there, it should stay out of the way, and you don't want to pinch this. So they're showing you that you got to put that in first when you're screwing this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure, and if I get that out of the way, I'm going to make sure that in screwing this down, that piece is out of the way. So I'm just going to put my finger on that bit right there. Put it down. Yes. And then I'll grab our flathead screw again. And we're going to screw that down. So I don't know if you can tell there, I'm making sure that the wire is out of the way and going up through that notch, which it looks like it is doing. So I'm just going to keep my pressure on it on the one side, and now screw it in from the bottom. Which it's done, and see, oh no, it's not done. So let's do this again. It wants to move. Yeah, so you see, I'm just making sure that that aerial is not tight so that we can still move it around and then be able to place this when we need to. Now it's showing that that's not until another step. So that part is done. That part is done. We now have to put the receiver in place. Now with this one, what's interesting is notice that we don't take this off. A lot of the times on the Tamiya kits, you take off the piece and then this is going to get screwed into something else, and then you put a sticker for the on-off switch. Well, this one, you can see that that is just going to sit right there with some double-sided tape and just attaches to the side. So I'm just going to grab the double-sided tape and we'll put that on. So I grabbed the double-sided tape and you can see it says actual size. So I've actually cut it to this specific size they're saying, and you can see that you're going to use this to attach that switch to the side of the car. So we're going to take one side off, and I'm going to actually attach this to the chassis first because I can get the position correct just like that, and that way I know that it's in the right place. And then we'll peel off the back, and I can now put this in place and just make sure that it's in the right spot. So let's put this down at the bottom and push. So there is our on-off switch in place, ready to go. So all of those bits are on. Now the one thing that I didn't do earlier on purpose, and I think I can do it now just because of how this has worked, but if you remember, if we went back to this step 28, they were showing you how to put this on. Well, we still hadn't got the Yeah Racing bridge in place, and so I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do that at that stage or not. Now normally these arms are completely adjustable. Well, on the TT02 kits, they're not, which means technically we can actually put those on now. So you can see that the original idea was an MB1, so they are those tapping screws. So let's grab a couple of the MB1s, and I've just got to get the right size. There they are. Let's make sure that they are. Again, I love Tamiya kits for that because it makes it very easy to know whether you've got the right screw or not, because I can just line this up and make sure, and yes, they're fine. So we're going to screw those arms in place now. So it showed that the arm gets attached to the outer hole. So we'll grab that, put that in there, and put that into the outer hole. So I'm just going to hold the bottom while we screw this in. That moved a bit, that's okay. And we'll grab the other one and we'll do the exact same thing. Put that in, it goes in the outer hole. Just make sure that that actually is going in level. It's not quite, so I'm actually going to hold it sideways just to make sure that that is going in correct, which actually now it does look like that's correct. So there we go. There are the steering arms in place. Now obviously you can hear that the servo moved a bit. So when we recenter this, we'll know that it's going to be correct or not, because you can see that these have moved. And I mean, I can make an adjustment to get them level again, but if they've completely, messed everything up, we can do some fine tuning on this once everything's hooked up again, and just use the trims to get the steering correct. But that is it essentially. So step 31 is complete. We've done everything here. So we can now move on to step 32, and we're going to attach the RC unit. So basically we're going to attach the receiver and the speed controller and get everything cleaned up.